Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glenn Sutherland.
Welcome to a new episode of Canadian Investing in the U.S. with Glenn Sutherland. This week, my guest is Ben Humble. Ben, you want to start off by giving everybody a bit of a background, a little bit about you, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, of course. I was born in Romania in a communist country, and my family escaped illegally on foot back in 1989, and we looked for refuge. So we actually became refugees in Austria before coming to Canada in 1991. So I'm the oldest of 9 kids to 2 immigrant parents in Canada, and that's the beginning of our journey. So, you know, I wanted to be a musician growing up. That was my favorite thing, my passion, my joy. And about halfway through music school, university, I realized I was in the wrong program. I was in the how to become a teacher program instead of how to become a performer. And I was a C student, so I didn't want to, teach a bunch of snot-nosed kids just like me. So I said, I got to go figure out the money problem so I can come back to doing music on my own terms. And that led me to finding real estate and making that the vehicle. So that's how I got started with all this.
That's great. So for people who don't know anything about you, maybe let's go through like the kind of story, but we'll have to go in fast forward mode because I know there's a lot to it. But so you started doing some stuff in Canada, some investing. Let's talk about that and then how it transitions to the US.
Sure. So I had a real estate business in Canada, started in 2006, and started buying 1 duplex and then a second duplex. And then I had 3 duplexes by the time I got married. So I was playing Monopoly, the Canadian version. And in playing Monopoly, in doing so, the market kind of dropped and everybody around me was concerned about real estate. And I saw an opportunity after reading so many books and attending events. I saw an opportunity to go more aggressively into real estate. So in 2009, I started bought 1. The next year I bought 8. The next year I bought 13. And they ended up buying and selling 300 properties in Canada. So that was an incredible learning for me. And, having to go through the up and down cycle. I eventually married, at the beginning of my investing, I married a Romanian-American girl, and I'm Romanian-Canadian. And it was always our goal at one point to go live in a sunny destination. I said, let me figure out the money problem. Let's go ahead and figure out real estate. And at some point, we'll go to a sunny destination somewhere in the U.S. And that was always the plan. So that opportunity happened for us basically when COVID happened. When COVID happened and the economic picture in America looked really enticing and the political picture in Canada did not. So we made a decision to come over here and we just continued the work that we were doing in Canada. We continued raising money. We continued finding deals. We continued syndicating and putting it together. So all of the same skills transferred into U.S. investing.
That's awesome. I wish I knew you were down there during COVID because I went down there during COVID myself.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, we actually left and we lived. So we have an SUV. And when we left Canada, we basically lived in the SUV. I mean, hotels and the SUV. We drove city to city for about a year, living in different parts of the United States, Texas to Florida to California to Arizona, Nevada. We drove all across the Midwest and we tried to decide where we wanted to live. And my wife only had 2 kind of clear goals. It had to have palm trees and it had to have nice weather. So we're like, hey, God, wherever you take us, so long as it's palm trees and nice weather, we're there. So we landed in the Scottsdale, Arizona area, and we've been here now for the last 3 years.
2009 crash. That's when you really got going and investing in Canada. So do you see any similarities with that, with what's going on now? I have more free content. So if you're interested, I created a PDF guide and a video to go along with the PDF guide to complement it. And what the guide is all about is the 5 most common mistakes that Canadians make when investing in the United States. So if you're interested in this free guide, go to CanadianInvestingInTheUSA.com/mistakes. And let's go back to the podcast. And it's free.
So early on, a man told me, if you want to become wealthy in real estate, all you have to do is buy $1 million worth of real estate, okay? And then hang on to it for 25 years and allow that to be paid down. You'll have at least $1 million worth of equity. And should the market also appreciate, you have that equity as well. And then any cash flow you have from your tenants, that's a bonus. So I learned early on that the game is called TAM, total addressable market. how big or total addressable market opportunity for you. So if you could go in and say, I want to have $10 million of real estate that's assets under ownership, and you just start with that thesis, then it doesn't actually matter if the market goes up, down, or sideways. The down market has its benefits. It really does.
Yep.
So when I got started in 2006, the market was going up and it was a hot market. And it was a similar climate. Properties were aggressively, becoming overpriced, and it was tough. But in a down market, I learned that equity is captured in down cycles. That's it. Equity is sold in up cycles. So real estate is the only vehicle that I know where it has consistently higher highs and higher lows. So even when you have a recession, a pullback, what have you, it's likely a higher low than it was in the last pullback and recession. So the real estate principle for me is, as long as you use a strategy that allows long-term growth, and you then become really savvy and take money off the table in short-term opportunities, real estate will always be the vehicle. So my thesis is this: you need to buy 10 million worth of real estate and just allow the next 25 years to do its thing. Whether you buy it now, next week, last year, it doesn't really matter. If you pay more than you need to, you just have to wait longer to reconcile your equity. So I see a moment right now. Warren Buffett describes when everybody else is scared, you need to be aggressive. And when everybody is aggressive, you need to be scared. When I jumped in 2009, people were scared. 2024, people are scared, nervous, cautious. I love this market. I actually want a lot of volatility, because when volatility happens, prices move a lot. And when prices move a lot, I have the ability to capture equity. I also have the ability to sell properties at a higher premium than they would normally go. So to answer your question bluntly, 2024 is a great time to buy real estate. In fact, in 22, when the market cooled 20%, that would have been the best time to get bullish and get aggressive on real estate. So I think if you miss this market opportunity, you're probably just going to miss another bull market run up, because most people are waiting for the leaders to get involved and get invested before they follow. So you got to decide in this market, are you a leader or a follower?
Love it. With that strategy of buying like 10 million and then letting it sit, or you're still investing in or moving it, but like just waiting to get it paid off. Do you think if you're a young investor compared to an old investor, any of that sort of strategy should change because maybe you don't have the time?
Pick a number. Maybe it's 1 million for you. Wherever you are financially, pick a number that would alter the quality of your financial life. So if you're brand new and never bought a deal, make a goal to buy $1 million. I'll tell you why. If you don't make a goal to buy $1 million, then you'll never run at it hard enough to capture momentum and even get close. If your goal was to get to $1 million and you bought 300,000 worth of real estate, great. But if your goal is to buy one house one time, you're going to struggle to do that. So I'm a believer that you have to select a goal that actually has a meaningful output on your life. And if you can't do that, or you choose not to do that, you're going to play small and you're going to play defensive forever. So pick a number that's worthwhile. Then it will force you to select a strategy that's in alignment with that number. Most people are not investing in real estate. Most people are real estate consumers. So they are encumbered by what most consumers do. They get bad debt. They buy properties overpriced. They don't know how to manage. They're not really investing in anything. They're just consuming.
Right.
So I would say become an investor and become a real estate business owner if you want to get to those goals, because it'll require that thinking to get to the million in the first place. It doesn't require a lot of thinking to buy one property. The problem is you still got to do the thinking if you want to buy 2, 3, 4, 5, 20.
Right.
Yeah.
What is you? I don't need numbers, but like, what does your portfolio kind of look like? Are you still holding a lot of Canadian stuff? Have you bought some U.S. stuff? What are you kind of, how are you balancing that?
Yeah. So when I started, I was a landlord. I had 13 properties, and it was cool, but it was also a headache because I was self-managing 13 properties and it was a nightmare. 2013, I got into private lending, and I created a program for subprime borrowers in Canada, which involved me buying properties, me renovating properties, me selling properties, and me becoming the bank offering financing on those same properties. So we had what we call a full supply chain process. We did 100 of those mortgages. So 100 lives, 100 families were able to buy a property. And that generated for us around $35,000 a month of cash flow. And that was as passive as real estate can get, because we're not the property owner at this point. We're the mortgage holder. So we just reconciled our monthly payments. And we continued to do that. We launched a wholesaling program. So bought and sold 300, still have mortgages in Canada actively today because I really do like mortgages. And then we came over here and launched a luxury Airbnb portfolio where we bought about $7 million worth of luxury Airbnb. So that's kind of our focus today is mortgages and luxury Airbnb properties. So that's the intent. And we'd like to buy another 100 properties and keep those for the next 30, 40 years. We exited a lot of real estate because, to my previous statement, the intention should be to buy and hold. But when the market gives you an opportunity, know when to capture equity and redistribute that equity into other deals. So we're in a great spot to be acquiring deals right now, and that's pretty exciting.
So to go buy $7 million in luxury Airbnbs, like, how does that look like to purchase it? Are you using hard money? Are you using joint ventures? Are you using private equity? Like how are you funding this in order to scale it?
Yeah, well, I'm thankful that we had cash coming here. So we ended up using our own cash to get into the deals. And then we would stabilize the deals, rent them out, and drive some really great revenue. And then we actually did what Canadians would call a BRRRR, but instead of using a bank to do that, we actually syndicated the back end. So we would find partners, Canadian partners, by the way, who wanted to own a piece of the dream. They wanted to own a property in a beautiful climate with palm trees. And we allowed them to come into the deal with us as equity partners. And then we were able to restructure and get a conventional mortgage on the property. So we have that for several, which is partnerships and conventional mortgage long term. And those are properties that I have no real desire to sell. In fact, the only reason I would be for the same reason I sold the Canadian ones. The market gives me a really extreme price for my property, which in that case, I think it's smart to liquidate and sell. Quick example. We actually had a horse property. It was a horse farm. We bought it. We spent a couple $100,000 to renovate this thing. And it was a luxury rental. And somebody rented the property. That same person said, I'd like to buy this property, but they have a trust, meaning that they have a wealthy family, but they don't have no active income. Right. And because the trust spits out enough money, they were able to buy this property off of us. And we were able to finance the property. And we actually sold this thing for about $1 million more than fair market value. And we're holding part of this mortgage for the next 5 years. So I like those kind of deals. If I can get future cash today to redeploy, or at least the future sale price today, then I'll justify selling that.
Yeah, no, I love the creative strategies, especially in this market. If you can't get the price you were hoping for, sometimes you just have to come up with a more creative way. Sometimes the most conventional selling it with a realtor on the MLS may not get you the number you need in order to close.
Well, on that point, brother.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I just wanted to let you know that I've created a new coaching program. I believe the new coaching program has way more value than any of the programs that have even existed in the past. What we've done is pre-recorded all the lessons so that you can work through it at your own pace, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to meet up on a regular basis to answer the questions, do deal analysis, and actually spend our time together working on things instead of spending our time learning things. I think this will make a seamless transition to buying in the United States and will help you solve a lot of your problems. If this is of interest to you, go to glensutherland.com/coaching. I hope to help you guys invest in the United States, and I hope we provide as much value as possible. Back to the podcast.
Well, on that point, brother, creative people are underrated in real estate. But really, I believe I've got paid, a lot of money in the last year in real estate because I was using my music creativity in real estate. So creative problem solving is a really underrated skill that people don't understand. You have to understand the dynamics of real estate and work outside of the conventional box if you really want to create wealth. So if you're a creative person, then you have an advantage coming in here to think about problems creatively. I'm not saying that engineers and such can't win, but I think creatives have a unique opportunity to look at the market and innovate where most people won't innovate. They're trying to copy their way to success.
That makes a lot of sense. And I know that you've been promoting events and doing that sort of thing as well. Does the creative mindset play into that as well?
1,000%. Let me give you an approach I learned a long time ago. So I naturally like events because I like music and I like stages. So to me, it's a natural inclination. I grew up playing on stages as a kid. And the one thing I know as a musician, as an artist being on stage, that when I do a stage, I create synergy. I can put 500 or 1,000 people in a room, and one song could move 1,000 people. One speech could move 1,000 people. I grew up in the church. So I've learned this as a skill early on to get people together and have convergence, have this synergy happen. So if you're a real estate investor, brand new or not brand new, do exactly what Glenn is doing. Put together a podcast, put together content, put together an event, because then you will have the microphone with 500 people in the room. Those 500 people are buyers, they are sellers, they are money partners, they are potential students. It is the greatest way to create leverage in your real estate business and create leads for your real estate business is putting stages together. So that's how I think about it, is get people together, give them a lot of value, treat them well, make sure they leave better than you found them. But now you have 500 new friends, 500 new people that have had a chance to get to know you, your mission, and they can be a part of what you're doing in real estate. Yeah, which is why we're doing the event on November 23rd. That's in 4 days from now. Canadian Real Estate Revival, and getting 9 incredible speakers together and being able to help, just hundreds of Canadians just pick themselves up, move it forward, and we get to know who they are in the process.
Yeah. So here, I'll give you guys a link because I built a link for this. So glennsutherland.com/revival, which is REVIVAL. Tell us about the event, though. You said a little bit about it. What else is going on here?
Yeah, so I got 9 incredible speakers together who collectively we have purchased over 1,000 properties, including my friend Brandon Turner, who many of you might know from Bigger Pockets. He was the host that started the Bigger Pockets podcast. And Brandon has 13,000 rental units in his portfolio. And we have speakers that not only made money in real estate, but every speaker on that stage is still actively growing. I don't believe in perfection. I believe that, we learn things, we get better, we create mastery, but then we keep optimizing. So every speaker on that stage is an active business owner in this space. They're either using social media as a catalyst for raising capital. They're actively flipping properties and have a really clear process on how to do so. We have Canada's largest wholesaler coming to speak on that stage, and what it means to build a team and what it means to learn marketing and sales. So we put together speakers that have done it and are doing it in Canada. So if you're brand new, this is going to be a powerful event. We're not only just focusing on inspiration, but really on equipping you to grow in your real estate in 2025. And if you're already doing deals, I promise you have a mental block or you have a physical block, you have some type of hurdle, because I used to have a hurdle when I was at my 2nd deal or 5th deal. My job is to remove those blockages, to help unclog the real estate toilets and help people move it forward and really take advantage of 2025 in Canada. And by the way, the event is focused on real estate investing for Canadians, but we also invest in America. So it doesn't matter if you invest in Canada or the US, we're going to give you strategies for both. There is a huge demand for Canadians investing in the US. There's a lot of benefits right now, which I'm thankful that you have this show to serve people who are in that thinking.
Yeah, awesome. I don't know if you listed that. What's the date? When does this happen?
November 23rd. It's a 6-hour event.
2024 for people who are listening to this in the future. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, 2024 if you're listening in the future. Yeah, that's right. But you know what I got to say for you? I really like that you're moving this narrative forward. A lot of Canadians have equity. They've been the beneficiary of a bull run, and they have this equity, and they're asking the question, is my money better served in reinvesting it in Canada, or is my money better served reinvesting it in the American marketplace? And I think that there's a lot of pros to the American marketplace, and there are still some pros and a lot of pros, I would say, depending who you ask, on the Canadian marketplace. Different asset categories have different strengths and weaknesses. So kudos to you for helping Canadians live the dream and invest in the U.S. I think it's a really incredible way to leverage your resources and the equity you've already built.
Yeah, thank you. And there really is, there's still lots of opportunity in Canada. It just depends on the strategy. Some strategies are going to be more difficult to do than the U.S., or even you might just need a different province.
If I can highlight that just for a brief second, I think becoming a private lender in Ontario is an incredible business. It has so many advantages. You've got the power of sale process. Canadian market is really a stable market. It doesn't really move as much as other markets in the world. So as a private lender, I love Ontario real estate. Now, as a landlord, I don't, right? Because everyone will complain about the landlord-tenant board and the laws in favor of the tenants, etc. So you have to understand which methodology. As a builder, if you're going to build small multifamily, Ontario is a great place to do that because you can still get mortgages under 4%. And we're talking about all this stuff, by the way, at the event. But if I'm going to invest, let's just say in rental properties and I want to become a landlord, or I really like Airbnbs, I'm probably going to choose a Republican state, a red state in the United States. It'll just give me more bang for my buck. So as an investor, my point to this is it's a meritocracy. You got to look at the ROI, and that's the decision, not this city's better than this city because I like it more because of political things. Remove the politics and just put your money to work. Your money owes you a return. So your money needs to be able to look at all the return options and choose the best option for it and your goals.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So people listening, if you want to get tickets to the Real Estate Revival, glennsutherland.com/revival, REVIVAL. And if you want to get a hold of Ben, how do they get a hold of you?
You could just jump on humble.ceo. That's the website. Or we have the CanadianRealEstateRevival.com if you're coming to the event. That's how you can connect with us.
Awesome. Well, Ben, thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, brother. And I'm really encouraged by you and the work you're doing for all these Canadians to empower them to invest. And I'm just going to pray that this show continues to grow and serve people, because I know that this is a huge demand for Canadians who want other options. So thank you for doing what you're doing, and I'll just keep encouraging you here.
That was a nice video. Bye.